For decades, the Rajapaksa family has wielded immense power in Sri Lanka, shaping its political landscape and dominating its governance. However, their tenure has also been marred by serious allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and human rights violations. Despite numerous investigations and court cases, justice has remained elusive thanks to political influence, legal loopholes, and systemic delays. Now, with a new government determined to revive long-dormant cases, the Rajapaksas are once again crying foul, claiming to be victims of a political witch hunt. But is there any truth to this claim, or is it merely a desperate attempt to evade accountability? A closer examination of history and the legal proceedings against them reveals a different story. The legal system in Sri Lanka has long been accused of failing to hold powerful figures accountable, and the Rajapaksa family has undoubtedly benefited from this failure. Many high-profile cases implicating the family have either been deliberately stalled, dismissed due to lack of evidence often under questionable circumstances, or buried under bureaucratic red tape. One of the most glaring examples was the period following the 2015 Yahapalaniya Good Governance government's rise to power. Despite promising to bring justice, even they struggled to move the cases forward. Some of their own ministers secretly aided the Rajapaksas in escaping legal consequences, either out of loyalty or political convenience. The result? Critical cases such as the Tajuddin murder case, the Helping Hambantota scandal, the Krish property development scandal, money laundering, and the White Flag case, and Shiranthi Rajapaksa's Surilia case were systematically obstructed, watered down, or simply abandoned due to political interference. The recent push by the NPP National People's Power government to reopen these cases is not an act of political revenge, it is an effort to uphold the rule of law. These are not new allegations concocted by political opponents. They are long-standing cases that have been trapped in the legal system due to the Rajapaksas' ability to manipulate institutions in their favor. If anything, the delay in delivering justice has only strengthened the argument that the Sri Lankan legal system has been compromised for years. The Rajapaksa family's latest claims of victimization conveniently ignore the fact that these cases were never properly adjudicated in the first place. The key issue here is not about targeting a specific political family. It is about ensuring that those accused of serious crimes, including corruption, fraud, and even murder, face due process. One of the most egregious examples of how justice was obstructed under the Rajapaksa regime is the MiG fighter jet scandal, a case tied to a massive financial fraud involving the purchase of overpriced military aircraft. Investigative journalists who attempted to expose the corruption faced severe consequences, with some paying the ultimate price. Lasantha Wickramadinge, the fearless editor of the Sunday Leader, was assassinated in 2009 after persistently uncovering corruption within the Rajapaksa administration. His murder remains unsolved despite overwhelming evidence pointing to state-linked involvement. Iqbal Athas, another investigative journalist, was threatened and harassed for exposing defense-related corruption. These attacks on journalists were not isolated incidents. They were part of a systematic effort to silence dissent and bury the truth. The fact that justice has yet to be served in these cases speaks volumes about the extent to which political influence has tainted Sri Lanka's legal institutions. The Rajapaksa family's argument that they are victims of a political witch hunt collapses under scrutiny. If they were truly innocent, why have they consistently evaded justice? Why have critical pieces of evidence disappeared? Why have witnesses been intimidated? The truth is that their legal troubles stem not from political vendettas, but from genuine allegations supported by evidence that has been ignored for too long. If anything, their claims of victimization are a classic case of political strategy designed to manipulate public sentiment and deflect attention from the real issue, accountability. For nearly 2 decades, the victims of these crimes, whether they were murdered journalists, disappeared businessmen, or ordinary citizens who suffered from corruption, have been waiting for justice. Some of the affected families have been fighting legal battles for 10, 15, even 20 years. Their pain, loss, and demand for justice are not political weapons, they are fundamental human rights. Now, as these cases are finally being revived, the focus should not be on the Rajapaksa family's attempt to reframe the narrative, but on ensuring that the truth is uncovered and justice is served. Whenever faced with legal trouble, the Rajapaksas have relied on a tried and tested formula, wrapping themselves in the flag of patriotism. They claim to be the saviors of Sri Lanka, the leaders who defeated terrorism, and the protectors of Sinhala Buddhist identity. While their role in ending the civil war cannot be ignored, this does not grant them immunity from prosecution. No amount of nationalist rhetoric can justify corruption, human rights abuses, or financial crimes. If you have committed a crime, whether it is embezzlement, fraud, enforced disappearances, or even murder, you must face the music. And the music, in this case, is the justice system. The reopening of these cases is not just about the Rajapaksas. It is about the credibility of Sri Lanka's legal system. If these cases are once again swept under the rug, it will reaffirm the notion that Sri Lanka remains a country where justice is selective, where the powerful remain untouchable while the powerless suffer in silence. However, if these cases proceed transparently, it will mark a turning point in Sri Lanka's governance, a sign that no one, regardless of their status, is above the law. The international community, as well as Sri Lankan citizens, are watching closely. The time for excuses, delays, and political maneuvering is over. Justice must finally be served. The Rajapaksa family's cries of political victimization are nothing more than a smokescreen, an attempt to divert attention from their long history of legal troubles. These cases are not about political revenge. They are about the rule of law. For years, they used their power to shield themselves from accountability. Now, as the legal system begins to catch up with them, their strategy has shifted from avoiding prosecution to playing the victim. But Sri Lanka's people are no longer blind to these tactics. The demand for justice is louder than ever, and this time, it must not be ignored. The question is no longer whether the Rajapaksas will face justice, it is whether Sri Lanka's legal system will finally find the courage to deliver it.